and welcome back to It's Only Paper. I can't believe this. I've just uploaded these videos and there's no sound until the very end. So I'm having to do a voiceover, but it wasn't actually planned as a voiceover. I'm wanting to make a 12 by 12 scrapbooking layout today. I have not made one of these for ages and years actually. I've done them like on smaller scales and obviously I use my journals all the time, but it's National Scrapbook Day coming up and scrapbooking seems to be becoming a bit more popular again. I'm seeing a lot more talk about it, a lot more layouts, and I've been looking back at my old stuff. I've grabbed a sketch today from the zine. As you can see, I'm going to be looking at this, and I just really fancied working on a page. I've grabbed some white 12 by 12 cardstock and loads of bits and pieces from my kits. This is the Make It. It's called Picnic in the Park, and that's what I'm going to be using. I will link it down below if you want to go and check it out. I've got all my photos ready. I've backed them onto white card, so I've got a nice little border there. And I'm just really excited about making a 12 by 12 page again. So let's look at this sketch. I love using a sketch for inspiration. I love that you can use them on any size, whether it be a journal or a scrapbook. There is just the one photo shown on the sketch, but you can be as flexible as you want to be. I've got a whole bunch of photos, for example, and I'm going to show you how I work the sketch to my page. We're going to start off with a little bit of stenciling, inks. I love doing that kind of thing. And I've got one of my own 12 by 12 stencils here. It's a sunshine stencil, as you can see. First thing I want to do is make sure it's in the right spot on the page. So I'm kind of like laying it out roughly where I want it to go, wanting to make sure that the sides are covered, because if I were to just mist, I would end up with a big block around the sides of the stencil. So I've grabbed some scrap paper out of my bin to lay around, and now I can start with the misting. I've got Pure Sunshine from Dilutions. It's one of my favorites. Giving it a bit of a tap and then just lightly misting. I'm not going overboard. I don't want too much. And then it also dries off quite quickly. Just go careful when you lift up the scrap paper. You don't want any smudges, or you don't want to knock the stencil as well, because that would be really annoying, because then the lovely stenciling, the misting that you've got going on will just be like a bit of a splodgy mess. So just go careful. And then what I like doing is to do this kind of thing first, pop it to one side, leave it to dry, and then work on the next bit. So let's look back at the sketch again. Although the sunshine is over to one side on the sketch, I'm just using it for inspiration, so I've just popped mine in the middle, and that's absolutely fine. While that's drying off, I've taken one of the papers from the kit. I've also got some stickers here, as you can see, and I love these bits and pieces. They go really well with my photos. I've got some papers as well, and I'm just deciding to cut these up. I've got a bit of a paint splodge on one already, because I just tend to make a mess. But I'm going to cut them up. I could have done with a smaller trimmer, to be honest. I'm just going freehand now. And although I'm not going to use them all on this page, I don't actually even know what I am going to use at this moment. I'm just going to cut them all up anyway, because I will at some stage be using them all anyway. And I find that kind of thing quite helpful sometimes, especially if you haven't got much time. If you've got a load of stuff prepared, it just makes it a little bit easier when you're going to go in and quickly make a page, if you've got bits and pieces ready to one side. So I figured that I may as well just cut them all up now. I've been trying to think about the kind of thing that I want on my page. I'm just going to quickly tidy these up. And I'm not going to go with too much journaling. That's something I quite like with the scrapbooking. It is generally a main focus on the photos. And the story that I'm wanting to tell today is about our trips in 2021, because obviously there were restrictions in place. We were out of lockdown, hotels were open, but we couldn't really go anywhere, like we couldn't go to the States or anything like that. All our Florida trips from the last couple of years had been on hold. But Aid and I still fancied some mini getaways, so that's exactly what we did. We had a 3-nighter in Swindon. Sounds a little bit strange, but we've got family in Swindon, and we did the most beautiful walks. We found really lovely places, National Trust places. We had such a lovely time, and it was so hot. It was like 30 degrees, and we had air conditioning in our hotel. We were so lucky. So we had a 3-day break there in July. Then August, it was Aid's birthday, and we had 3 nights at, or right very close to the London Bridge. Never been there, that area before, so that was so nice. We loved it, and again, we were spoilt with the weather. We always tend to have nice weather by Aid's birthday, actually. And then we did our first ever Disneyland Paris trip in September. And then we went back again, a bit of a spontaneous trip in November. So they were our trips, and we just loved every single one of them. Little mini adventures, getting away from everything. We'd both worked the whole way through lockdown. We hadn't had any time off. So we were ready for a break. And I've fallen in love with mini breaks, actually. I think they're the way forward. So my page is now dry. And the stenciling looks lovely. I'm now going to just start laying it. I'm not going to stick down yet. I just want to make sure I'm happy with where things are going. I've selected my photos, just little mini snippets from our trips. So I just want to make sure I'm happy. And like I said, from going back to the sketch, I'm replacing the one large photo with like a cluster of photos. I'm thinking I'm fancying some colour, so I've taken this paper here from my kit. It's got lovely strips, and I'm going to cut those out. And I'm now thinking I want some extra colour, so seeing as I love adding paint to my pages so much, I've got a little bit of pink Kaiser colour here, and I'm going to spread that on the page. I want it to be around the photos, so if you're doing this, I'm just using half a gift card here, by the way, to smear it around. If you're doing this, just kind of remember where your photos are, because I've done it before. Think I'm really clever, smeared it on a page and then pop my photos on, and they've completely covered all the paint up, and there's no evidence that there was ever paint on the page. So when you're doing this kind of thing, just make sure you know where your photos are going. I've spread mine out quite thin so it dries extra fast. I am quite impatient when it comes to drying. I do only pop a tiny bit of tape on the back, just so I can easily move things. I change my mind quite a lot when I'm creating, so tiny bit of tape on the back. I can then move things around, and also then if I'm wanting to add bits and pieces around the side, which you'll see me do in a minute, it just makes life a lot easier. I'm going to do exactly the same with the photos, just a tiny bit of tape on the back. Again, just giving me just that extra bit of flexibility. So if I want to change my mind, I can, as I have done here. I remembered I wanted the Tower Bridge in the middle, and then the photos of us to either side. I thought that would be quite a nice balance. I do like a balance on a page. It's not that I want them to be symmetrical, but I like them to be equal, but in kind of like rough measures. So not like completely, but just kind of like roughly, if that makes sense. So I'm going to stick the little photos down on the bottom. Let me know if you took any trips during when things were sort of all restricted. Did you manage to have any little escapes or anything like that? It did feel very, very nice, just escaping family, escaping home, the normal routine, taking a break from work. It was very, very needed. So here you'll be able to see what I mean about being able to slot things in. I can just slide things behind photos, and I'm kind of deciding if I want the date on the page or not. But it's just, I find it a really fun way to create. I like creating with layers. So this is exactly how I do this, just by taping down in the middle and then just adding bits and pieces around the outside. It goes really well. I'm having so much fun with this paper, with the little journal boxes. I'm not even using them for journaling. I'm just popping them down, and they just look so cute, don't they? And I love the little pops of colour, but it's not too in your face as well. It's not like they're bright, bright colours. It goes really, really well on my page. I would love to hear from you. Are you a scrapbooker? Have you, like me, kind of like gone from scrapbooking into journaling and you don't tend to scrapbook very much anymore? Or have you always been a traditional scrapbooker? Do you scrapbook but in like on your own kind of pages, in your own way, smaller pages? I'd love to hear from you and know exactly what you like to do. And will you be doing anything this weekend to celebrate National Scrapbooking Day? Here I've got the strips. As you can see, they're not large enough. I want them to be seen both sides. So what I love doing is kind of like ripping them up, putting on a bit of tape and then popping them in the sides, and nobody would ever know that they don't follow all the way from one side to the next. It's like trickery on your eyes. I like doing this, and it saves paper as well, because it means that I can get away with just using a small strip rather than all the way through. And also, my mind works I can't think about the page before everything's down. So I like to have kind of things in place and then start adding bits and pieces. So this kind of works best for my brain, I guess. I guess everyone thinks differently, don't they? And this is just how I think. I'm wanting some extra colour, so the yellow here goes perfectly. And I'm just having so much fun. I haven't scrapbooked for so long. It feels really nice having a larger piece of paper. I have a journaling group, a Patreon group, and we were Zooming last night, and we were talking about like pages and scrapbooking. It was like a mixed media Zoom. It was just so nice, and I love hearing from other people, seeing how other people create their pages. I just love our Zooms so much. There is a link down below if you're interested. It's an amazing community. I love it so much. And if you're new to my channel, I do also have a free Facebook group as well. So I'll leave that link down below for you too. We have such a lovely, lovely community. I'm so lucky, I really am. And it's just so nice to have a whole bunch of people who you can talk to about paper, and they get you and they don't think you're a little bit crazy, because I'm sure some people do. Some people just don't get it, do they? So this is actually looking nothing like the sketch that I started out with. That always happens to me. I start off with a sketch for inspiration. It's like my little starter block, you know, like when you're about to go on a running race and you see like the athletes in the Olympics and they've got that little block, and it's probably nothing like that actually, and they start running. This to me is like my sketch. It's like the thing that gets me going, gets me off the starting point, and then I kind of do my own thing. And I kind of like, every now and then I might look at it, but it's just always my little Kickstarter. It gets me going, and I really like that. And I like how with a sketch you can have a whole bunch of people using the same sketch, and everyone will have a completely different page, and everyone will find a different kind of inspiration from it, which I really like too. I just think it's really, really fun. So if you want to use the sketch, please do. I've got some stickers from my kit. I love tab tops. So we've got these tab top stickers this month, and I was thinking I'd quite like to add one tab top per photo and then have the month on each one, because each little trip was a different month. So I thought that would be really fun. Plus I love a bit of colour, and it's adding a little bit of colour, extra colour to the page, which I thought would be nice. And I'm not going to have loads and loads of room for journaling. I'm going to keep my journaling to a minimum on this page, but then by adding like the month to each tab, it tells you exactly what you need to know. It makes sense. If there's a tab by the November photo and you've got November, you know then that photo was taken in November. So sometimes you don't always need to go crazy with the journaling. But yeah, I really like these little tab tops. They're really cute, aren't they? Nice little stickers. So I'm really pleased with how this page is coming along, and it's feeling very easy considering how long it's been since I scrapbooked, so I'm quite relieved about that. I'm going to trim these. These are also from the little, from the pattern paper, the strips. I thought the teal would be a nice little contrast, so I'm going to cut these out. And I'm thinking rather than stick them flat, I'll use a little bit of foam tape just to give them a little bit of height and to make them pop a little bit. I think that will look really cute. And these are really fun to use. They just, even though you, like from a distance, from a height or something, you don't really notice the difference on a page. Up close, you really do. They really do kind of make a difference if you pop them under an embellishment or something like that, rather than just stick them flat on a page. So this for me is a typical scrapbooking page. A white background with colour, a little bit of mixed media. And I do tend to make a bit of a border around the outside as well in some way and form, which I will be doing. I'm going to add a few little stickers first. I find by adding a few little stickers, it adds a nice little bit of colour. But do you have a style? Do you have something that you kind of always do on a page? Like for me, I like adding a white border to my photos. I do always have a little bit of journaling. I do tend to have a bit of mixed media on my pages, and I love texture. But a white background is quite typical for me with a nice bit of colour. I do tend to stick to a bit of a colour combination. I have this word relax here, and I thought it comes in the kit, so it's like a title word. And I thought that would be really good because us going away is the way that we relax. I don't relax at home. Home to me is my workplace. So I always feel in work mode. I don't enjoy my home in the same way as most people would. Even though I have a door that I can close on my workspace, to me, work is home. So when I'm home, I work. So for me, going away is the way that I take a break from work. So I thought the word relax would be a really good title. I'm just adding a few little strip stickers. I loved this one, just relax. I thought that was really cute and very apt. So I thought I would add these. These stickers, by the way, all come in the May kit as well. So if you get the kit, you'll also get the stickers. In fact, everything that I'm using here, apart from the actual stencil, is part of the kit. So you can, oh, and the paint's on in there as well. But you get like a nice little taster of what's coming. I'll leave the link down below in case you haven't seen it and in case you fancy having a little nose. Now, a moment ago, I said how I like having a border around the outside. I also love using packaging on my pages. This is taken out of one of my kits. It's my own branded tissue paper. I love finding different ways to use up rubbish, basically stuff that would usually be thrown away. And as I like having a border around my page, I decided I would try it with the tissue paper this time. I haven't done that before, and I thought it would be quite nice. And I really like the colour. I love the clouds. This is my favourite colour in the whole wide world. I just love it so much. I thought I would crumple it up a little bit, just again give it some texture. I do love texture, as I've said before. And then I figured what I would do is stick it down. Naturally, my tape ran out at this point. It always runs out when you're in the middle. I guess it would run out in the middle of using it, wouldn't it? It's not going to run out when you're not using it. But I've just added a little bit of tape. I never do my tape all along one area because I can save some if I don't do that. And then I'm just going to trim it off either end and do it all around the page to give myself a nice little border. And it just like adds a frame to my little artwork in the middle there. I'm really pleased with how this is coming along. It's so nice. And it's always a fun way to use up something that would have usually have gone in the bin. So it's fun, but it's also quite a satisfying feeling. I also like a little bit of a challenge, and sometimes I think it's fun to challenge yourself to use something that you would usually throw away. So in this instance, using tissue paper. Sometimes I pack everything in my kits in paper bags so they can be reused. Everything I create with the vision that something can be reused. Even the box it comes in, there's always ways around things. I like the border. What do you think? Do you think it really adds to a page? I still think it needs to stand out a little bit more. So I'm grabbing my pencil and my ruler, and I'm going to do some lines, and then I'm going to sew. Again, it's something I love doing on pages, and I don't tend to do it so much when I'm journaling. It's just not as easy. Something we were talking about last night again in our Zoom, how there's certain things that you just don't tend to do as much in a journal when you've got pages bound in that are much smaller than you usually would on a scrapbooking page. Oh, and by the way, the actual original audio of the film starts to work in a second, just so you know. Using the paper piercer makes it so much easier, but you can see the difference there. I love having that extra contrast, and I love working on a white background, which is why I like to use white pages. But then I love adding the colour myself by adding like the misting, and I really do love having a border. I've done so many pages over the years like this, all this kind of like different variations, and it's just a style that I've really stuck to. I've always found it quite difficult to scrapbook on a really colourful background or a very dark background as well. It's just a look that I feel comfortable with, and that really works for me. I am just coming to the end of my sewing. What I have done, I've purposely made it messy in a couple of places, again just to add some extra detail and texture. And I really like how that looks. Can you believe it? That last little bit. I haven't got enough for, do you know, I'm going to add some tape, some clear tape. There you go, you wouldn't even know now, would you? But I've left little bits like that poking through, and also it's folded up some of the corners of the tissue paper, which I really like. So I like that it's not perfect, and I think it really makes a difference, that red border. I am going to go round with my black journal pen. I'm going to add a little bit of journaling, and I'm also thinking that I'm going to go around my photos as well. Again, just a little bit kind of like doodly, but I just think it needs a little bit of detail around, because at the moment it's quite busy and everything looks a little bit lost. I'm just going to take another look at the sketch. I have got some journaling lines down the bottom, and I did want to add a little bit of journaling, so I am going to add, my ruler's just moved as I did that, I'm going to add a little bit down here. I think that would look quite nice. I just wanted to add a few little lines like that. We'll wait for that to dry, and let's see, we've got the sunshine there, which we've got my cluster of photographs instead of one. Title now is at the top, and then some little embellishment clusters, and to be honest, I've got my little stickers there. So I'm going to wait for that to dry, do my journaling, and I think this page is then finished. There we go, and my journaling says, we may not have been able to venture far or for long, but we still had some fun mini adventures and explored new places and loved it. And there you go, I'll let you have a little closer look. I have not done a proper scrapbooking page for years, and I have thoroughly enjoyed that. So happy scrapbooking day to you. I hope you do some kind of page, any size, any colour, any form, any topic, any theme. Let me know what you end up doing. I hope you managed to squeeze some time in anyway. But thanks for enjoying it. Oh, I've got a car alarm going off outside. Thanks for enjoying, start again. Thanks for joining me today. I have thoroughly enjoyed my time here with you. And let me know if you'd like to see another scrapbooking page sometime. Maybe I should do more. Take care. Bye.